All right. Hey, Jacob.
What's going on, dude? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're celebrating a much more important event, which is the second episode of Just the Bass Player podcast.
Exactly. Way more important.
Yeah, I'm really stoked to be here with you. Today we have a bunch of interesting things to talk about, including, of course, Show Me Something Cool. And we're going to do a bass tour, which is always exciting, and kind of geek out about what we're playing and how we got the basses and stuff like that. And we'll see how it goes. If we have time, we might as well tell some gig stories or something like that, but we'll see.
Sure.
So let's start off with Show Me Something Cool.
Yeah, man, you want to show me something cool first?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go for something much more fundamental than last time. I'm going to go through a technique which is super simple, but combinations of it create just about all my melodic phrasing on bass. So it's kind of a small thing that extrapolates and becomes this huge technique. So it sounds kind of like this. And it's this way of creating fluid motion, melodic motion using slapping. It's sort of my take on something that my teacher that I talked about last episode used to do a lot. Used to create these short looping slapping phrases, stuff that sounds like a... And I zoned in on that sort of turnaround part where he goes... Now, I thought that's really interesting, that the sound of that movement. And years later, I realized, wait, it's interesting because it moves in threes, and most of the music we play moves in fours. So it creates this sort of kind of fluid feeling. And I always, even before I realized that, I always loved the way it kind of rotated on the music I was playing. So I'm playing like a 16th note groove, and then the ending phrase moves in groups of threes, so I'll do it slowly. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's easy stuff for you.
No, dude, I'm curious, man. I've been stealing your stuff for years, dude. I'm curious to get to hear from the source.
I'm sorry and thank you simultaneously. So this can go over to do a lot of other things, like you can do string skipping. Basically, developing a sense of freedom with this will always kind of create interesting sounding phrases because of the groupings of three over mostly four, which is what we're playing. So there's the short version is what I just laid out, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then there's certain points where you're like, well, I should probably find a way to keep going, right, and not just end it like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because I want to play a long phrase. I want to play something that sounds kind of like, let's say, so. Now, there's an interesting relationship in technique and bass playing in general. There's an interesting relationship between the mechanics of what you're playing and how your hand moves and the music you make. So I've always found that interesting, that we develop like habits around our playing, and that contributes to actually the formation of musical ideas. Now, you can make the claim that you should be like a purist and achieve absolute freedom, and your technique is only a vessel to carry your musicianship forward and all that. But basically, if you learn how to play a certain way, it even like subconsciously dictates what you're going to play, right? And that's a good thing. A lot of people, you know, they made careers off that. So for me, it's this has dictated how I play chords, how I play a lot of my slapping technique. I kind of calculate my movements on the bass like that. So if I just jam on like an E slap groove thing, So, I don't know if you heard that really long phrase at the end.
Yeah.
Everything moves like, and then and then the sextuplets kind of ring out, and that creates a sort of really interesting way to move between feelings of 4 and 3, and it's something when it happens in music. It happens in a lot of many types of music, like from jazz fusion to progressive metal. Drummers, like prog metal drummers, love to do that. Just 4 to 3 to 4.
Yeah. Kind of just like disregard the bar line for a second.
Disregard the bar line, but also change the inherent time feel from a 16th note feel to like a triplet feel, or in this case, sextuplets. And that's something that I've been relying on for years to spice up my slap bass playing, and I've never really gotten deep into discussing it. The last thing I'll explain, which is like the key to unlock this entire thing. Basically, a movement of 3. So the dance move is like a slap, a hammer on, and then a pull. And that's it. So what I said earlier, this becomes this monstrous technique because you need to learn how to rotate the movement and keep it going. Now, there are certain points where it wouldn't be comfortable to pull the string twice, so your hand will need to learn how to flip around. Like if I played double thumb, it might be easier to play a 16th note feel, but because this is a movement of 3, this kind of stuff happens. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, at the end there, the 3 wasn't a pull note, it was a hammer-on. Because at a certain point, I had to slide. Okay? Now, it's interesting. I do this as a slide, so I can do the next note as a pull.
I need a double tap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another big thing we'll probably reach at some point. The most important part of developing like freedom on slapping melodically on bass is just the ability to slap and pull on the same string across all strings. And I know you're like a big proponent of that. With, like you're one of the masters as far as I'm concerned. I see you playing, riffs from you guys' songs, and it's like, wow, man. I remember when I was playing with John Brown, so I couldn't do the picking technique thing.
Yeah.
And I translated a lot of the riffs into slap, but not being a double thumb guy, I went through like crazy. That translation was insane. So I kind of admire people like you that can actually go through those riffs and nail them note for note with the right feel and everything with the double thumb. So, that's my show me something cool. It's this, like I said, fundamental thing. Take that movement of 3, open it up, work with loops, short loops of grooves. Like you can do like vamps, like something like. Yeah, okay. And that, just implement this little movement and then try and kind of. I can just do this I can actually do this in talk because my hand is so accustomed to this. This is my imitation of me playing. Doing this. This is the way I play slap bass. Yeah, blah blah blah. Anyway, Jacob, show me something cool.
Yeah. All right. So this week I've kind of like took a page out of your book from last week and picked something a little bit more like melodic rather than like an exercise like I did last week. Mm-hmm. This is for I want to put this in the song. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but this is me holding myself accountable because I actually want to do something with this. But it's kind of a selective picking exercise, and like I'll go into what that technique is and how I implement it to my playing. But I recently changed the key of this. I was playing it in a different key, and I'd recently moved it, so we'll see how this goes. So it's here we go. There we go.
Wow, man. Woo!
Thank you,
What
sir.
a trip.
Yeah.
It's beautiful stuff.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, so that one, what I wanted to do when I was writing that is I stumbled upon that technique, which is called selective picking. So essentially what you're doing, it's based on like a guitar technique that you see like Tosin Abasi from Animals as Leaders. I think he kind of coined that one. But essentially what you're doing is you would take a note, like let's say a hammer-on like this. Like if I take like an easy, we'll do something easy like a triad, like an A minor triad like that. And I have the pick in my hand for those who are listening. So what you do is you would start with a hammer-on, right? And a lot of it is these groups of 3. So it's like you would hammer and then pick and then descend the rest of the triad with your left hand. So it'd be like, and wherever that triad ends or whatever chord you're playing or phrase, then you would do another group of 3. So you would select that note. Right?
Oh,
so
can I try it for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right? So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's really cool. And the thing is, like, I'm not even talking about going back up the chord yet. So if we wanted to right, it's really, really cool. So again, I'm a bass player. I don't really use a pick that much. And when I was figuring out this technique, I thought, okay, well, how do I go back up? So I have these 2 extra fingers, right? So I would go, and I would just do a double pop on each of those strings. Right, so I found myself writing a lot of these exercises, like, just very, very chordal, and everything I wrote kind of sounded like an etude, which is fine sometimes, but I wanted to, see if I could implement it into something a bit more riff driven or a little bit more melodic. So I started working a bit more with like open strings, because I do, as you know, with both our playing, we use a lot of open strings with our slapping and stuff like that. So I had this riff in G minor. So, so a lot of what's going on, like the progression wise, it's not too crazy. It's just like, it's very, nothing too out of the ordinary there. But what, key like this, so G minor, what it allows you to do on the bass is we have all of these open strings, right? We have our 4, we have our 1, we have our 5, we have our 9, right? So there's so much to go off of there. So but I'm still basing it off of these, like you were saying, like groups of 3, but it's just a different thing. But yeah. So I'll hammer it on, right? And this is all left hand, right? And that creates that minor third. Right, and I'm still implementing like those types of triad, but these open strings are allowing me to make the melody a little bit more wider of intervals and stuff like that. So as important as it is to have your double thumbing and your popping down before you get into this stuff, it's really a left hand thing too, because you need to make sure that this can get the same velocity as. And when I'm plucking, I'm not really doing the traditional double thumb thing where you're in this no man's land area. I'm playing over my pickups, so you get a little bit more even of a sound. It's not like that kind of a thing. Very like, I don't know what you'd call it, like maybe mezzo piano or something like that. And what's cool about having that like left hand dexterity is right? I can do lines like that, like big wide intervals, without even incorporating my right hand.
That's insane, man.
Yeah, so the second
Wow.
half of it is kind of cool. It's kind of like there's a little less space, so it's just moving down the progression a little quicker. So then we introduce some new chords. This is one of those things where I have to start from the beginning every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
it's,
crazy.
It's a cool one. Yeah,
You should
It's all in
definitely. You should.
yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, but you should definitely finish that composition. And,
yeah, it's
and
cool.
Bring it.
It's cool.
We need to do like an episode about like pushing each other to finish all sorts of weird half-baked things.
Yeah, like
because
an accountability episode. Like we'll do a whole segment on, hey man, how's that idea coming? I told you to finish it.
Exactly, and then like in 2 years we'll be like, oh, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still I have the same thing. I have this. It's like an Instagram video I shot a while back, and I've been like playing it back in my head for like 3 years now, saying like I should really record that properly sometime. But anyway, back to what you were showing. I love the fact that it also kind of corresponds with what I showed, in a sense that watching your right hand, there's you were talking about climbing back up the chord.
Right.
Now, there's also a relationship there, like I mentioned, between the technique and the sound and the music that comes out of it.
Absolutely.
Because you can actually see the way it kind of gives you an extra second to sort of load back up the beginning of the movement. So sometimes adding another note or finding a way to play an extra 16th note gives you time to reload the position of the thumb for the next rotation of the chord.
Exactly.
And that's kind of those aha moments where you're like, wait, if I use this finger and then this one, I'm getting like more of the texture of the harmony, but also my mind kind of opens up and I'm hearing all those extra notes that I'll be able to do in a second, because my hand is like primed again to start a new one. So there's something very exciting about that. Every time I make a small discovery like that, it's like there's potential to like, okay, let's see what I can do. The B part was really interesting because you, instead of starting going down, there was one part, I think was like maybe a D or a G minor or something, where you were going only upward for like an entire motion.
Let's see. Oh. Yeah, so that was one of the trickiest parts to do, yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty cool, like, it takes time to there's some at this point there's some things that kind of work themselves out in terms of like articulation, but this was one of those where I'm like when am I going up, when am I hammering on, when am I going down, because I really like that. The whole idea was like I had this melody in my head like da da na na what is it, da da na 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 na, and I was like how can I properly get that in terms of like the notes that I wanted and the proper rhythm. This ending I'm still trying to work out because I'm doing this I don't think I'm actually going to resolve on G major, but it's
you shouldn't. You really should. That's my accountability. The second part of our accountability episode should be, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like finding little places. That's the only part where I was like, maybe you should have left it on the one
of
chord
course
earlier.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sorry. It makes me want to play, which is the greatest compliment I can give you. And also, it makes me frustrated that I can't actually like do the same note twice on the same string like that melody allows you. I can do it mostly on the G, but once you ask to do it on the D string, I kind of start fumbling because of the limitation of what I do. Like I can do stuff like this. Like
Yeah.
But that's like the freedom you have to do it on the in-between strings is what I'm kind of most envious at.
All I'll say is like the way you play it lends itself to the stuff that I do. Like if you take a couple days, you're fine, dude. Like you could do it.
Probably.
Yeah, but I mean that's it's your.
Well, that's the
choice.
thing. Like I feel like the only way to play like either of us would be to say, like we kind of went over it last episode, would be to say, wow, that sounds really cool, and then find your own way to kind of mess it up and do it. Because no matter what I do, I won't hear that kind of music.
Yeah.
Like the selective picking thing is something that I haven't been around enough to listen to hear music like that. But I do hear, like, in what you're doing, I do recognize stuff like if I would go like it's sort of a textural approach to slapping, which is interesting.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
It's using like a multitude of notes to create this sort of dynamic feeling instead of just like shooting like really, really intense slapping. So it's like I had one of those. It sounds like this. So, yeah, this is my accountability thing. Part of it, I'll play the entire thing another episode.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
it's an exercise. It's funny. It's exactly what you said. It's a sort of etude that I wrote just to practice that hammer on from nothing. But again, it's just what you played reminded me that a lot of the times people are like, wow. They're even asking like, why do you slap so much or whatever? And I'm thinking like, well. At this point, I don't really consider it like slapping in the traditional sense because the sounds you can kind of get from it, like the fact that I'm using my thumb and index finger is just like consequential to the music I want to make because I've spent so much time developing different ways to strike the string and filtering a musical idea like, like this through it just creates something interesting. I could possibly do it like this. But then again, the technique that like slapping really gives me that sense of rhythm that allows me to kind of accentuate the downbeat in a different way. But yeah, I think that kind of sums up our Show Me Something Cool, which I feel like this segment is a superstar. It's going to be our best seller. So the next part of the podcast should be about basses because I guess like we're just the bass players. So
exactly. That's how it goes.
That's how it goes, and we're both like huge gear nerds. So and you have a bunch of pedals and basses behind you, and I'm sitting in my small studio space and surrounded.
I'm sitting in my tiny bedroom. I'm sitting in my bedroom right now, dude. Like don't oversell it.
Okay, well my bedroom is over there, but I'm guessing I'm one step ahead of you. I have a separate room, but I spent like most of the videos people have seen me on for the past decade have been like if I turned the camera around, people would be like, "Oh wow!"
Same.
A bunch of clothes and crap and like whatever is behind the camera is always like the most terrible mess you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, but who cares? It's just this little rectangle that people need to see, and it's professional and it's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so we're gonna do our bass tour. I guess maybe we'll start with. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I want to start.
I was gonna say, you start.
I'll start with the bass I'm holding right now and give you a run through of the sounds and then a little bit of story, and then we'll kind of go back and forward, and hopefully this will be a nice little segment for the bass nerds out there. So this is a Dingwall Z3. I don't know what exact year it's from, but it's an older model. I would guess like 2000s or something. Again, I'm not enough of a spec freak to say like, oh, it's the pickups that were like this before that. Maybe some of you guys can help out. But it's a Z3 that I got from a very good friend by the name of Nir Yaniv. I had a break-in to my parents' house, and I had a bunch of instruments there, and I had 2 Dingwalls stolen. One of them was a Z3, and the other one was a Super PJ that was just also incredible. I had a Mayones bass stolen. Just a bunch of stuff. And the car, and my great-granddad's watch, and, it's just like... It was like the most terrible experience ever. We were actually driving to see my brother. I have a younger brother, is a terrific drummer, and we were driving to see a gig of his. Like, he was playing in a punk band. We were like going somewhere to kind of be in the audience and root for him.
Yeah.
And we're like gone for like a couple of hours. We go back home, and as soon as we arrive, I see a microwave outside our door, and I'm like, Mom, why did you throw the microwave out? And she's like, what? I'm like, this is our microwave. Why is it out here? And it kind of felt weird. And as soon as we walked to the door, I saw a pillowcase on the floor. And I'm like, they broke into our house, because if you know about break-ins, sometimes they use pillowcases as like to put shit in and take with them. And the first thing I did was like just zip upstairs to where I had my instruments in my parents' house and look at the wall and literally start crying, because it's like instruments I've worked my butt off for. It's like the first custom build that I had from Dingwall. It had this amazing system. I immediately thought like, how am I gonna even like tell Sheldon about this? I was so heartbroken. Anyway, terrible times. Nice to thank you for making me think about them, Jacob.
That's why I'm here.
Anyway, after that break-in, I don't know, maybe a year or something afterwards, I found this bass. So my partner in Modalix, Eyal, and a bandmate, and just like one of my best friends.
Overall good guy.
Overall good guy, and he rents Nir's apartment in Tel Aviv, and I went to his place, and I was like looking at the wall, like, oh, there's a Dingwall Z3, and it's golden and beautiful, and I wonder what it sounds like. And I was like drooling all over it, and I plugged it in, and I went like, oh my god, I missed this so much. And Nir was kind enough, he knew about my story, and he at the time, my finances were not in order. I didn't have money, I was broke, and he really helped me out. He let it go for a really stupidly affordable price, considering what it's worth. And I've played this bass like on so many albums, and on my solo album like extensively, and it's become one of my main instruments. And it also I have this emotional connection with it, because it's like, for me, I don't know if he knows like what a kind, like an act of kindness he did for me, because it helped me kind of bounce back up and say, okay, well, I have a Dingwall again, right? And after a while, I'll show later. I'll show the second Dingwall that I have. That's from Sheldon and the guys. But that's the story of this bass. And let's do a quick run through of the sounds, and I'm done. So starting with the bridge pickup. And then both these pickups. Yeah, that's sort of a standard sound in Dingwalls these days. And third position, our personal favorite. And the neck pickup, which I think is super sweet on this bass. It's interesting I feel like dingwalls are very misunderstood in a sense because they're so prominent in rock and metal these days, but the instruments themselves, I always felt like they have this sort of a classical sound even. So
don't even get me started.
Yeah, I know you feel the same, but
Yeah.
you know, their presence lends itself so well to rock and metal. But if you play a classical piece on a dingwall, it will sound amazing. Basically, it will sound like the best way possible. It projects the pitch perfectly and stuff like that. And also like the design of the pickups. I guess in this bass, I'm running through a dark glass preamp as always. But yeah, like the neck pickup is so fat and warm and nice, and like even if you play a ballad, like the notes kind of bloom beautifully. Like if I didn't show you the bass, I doubt that you'd say, "Oh, that's a dingwall with like fanfares and shit." Yeah. So how about the bass you're holding? That beautiful thing.
Yes. So this is a prototype. I can show it, but I can't go into the details about what's going on with it yet. However, we're going to talk about the bass that inspired this one. So just give me.
All right. Secret stuff. Unplugged jack sound.
This, yeah, we can cut that out.
No, I'm gonna leave it in like 200%. Don't worry. Go ahead.
So, this is my this is the first bass, or the first custom bass I got from Dingwall Guitars. It is a 2019 Z3X. Yeah, it's a swamp ash body with a matte white and black chartreuse finish. Matte black on the back, matching headstock. Let's see, dark glass preamp, push pull, and we have the series parallel switches. So this bass was my main bass for years, and just the way it came about was I had been working with Dingwall for since 2018, and at my second NAMM, I played a Z3, and I basically asked, I don't know if you know Carrie over there. I don't think she works there anymore, but she was one of the salespeople there, and I was like, hey, Carrie, like, what do I got to do to get one of these? This is I can't even explain how in love with these instruments I am, and she just said, hey, just email us. So, and we talked about all the business aspects of it, and then I told them I want the Z, and they just said, okay, let us know what woods, let us know what finish, and then immediately I had like a panic attack. I had no idea what I wanted, because I was getting this extremely, it's not a cheap bass, and I didn't want to be afraid to take it out. So getting some type of really extravagant finish, whether it's like some beautiful burl or whatever. It wasn't really what I was thinking, because I want to tour with it. And I saw they posted a highlighted grain one where it was black with like pink wood grain. And I thought, okay, what if we did white and black, but the back of the bass matched the wood grain? And that's kind of what led us to this. And they built it, and it is, it's my workhorse. It's my my day one for a while.
It's funny because you said like you wouldn't want a extravagant looking bass, but this is absolutely majestic in my opinion. It's like the most eye-catching, beautiful thing.
I agree. I just meant if I get a little if it gets dinged up on stage, it'll hurt, but it won't.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just making
you know what I mean.
Just breaking your balls.
But no, Paul is incredible. He does all the finishing in the custom shop, and yeah, it's amazing. It's truly my dream bass. Let me see if it's into.
This should actually be the theme of the show.
So we'll go over some sounds. So these FDV pickups that are in this bass are absolutely my favorite pickups in the world. They're so versatile, and they do everything. So we can start with the bridge. I want to mess around with the tone a little bit, just so you can kind of hear, like, you can do so much with this.
Right.
So, if I turn the treble down, oop, there we go. Right, it does the Jocko thing so well, you know. And then we get my favorite setting, right, which is these two guys in parallel.
Brilliant.
So gnarly, yeah. And we get the neck, which is also like But yeah, what you were saying about that, the whole classical thing on a dingwall, you know. What is it? Beautiful. And then and then you get the typical dingwall thing, which is the rear two, which is what everyone associates the dingwalls with now. But I don't actually use this one very much.
Me neither. I always found it a bit overbearing because there's a certain, I guess it's a matter of the way you play. I guess with a pick it kind of makes more sense possibly, but then you have to cut, like in order to use it I have to cut a bunch of mids. Like, dude, right now, even when I demoed, when I just demoed it and played it, I was like, oh man, people aren't gonna like this sound. But if I went ahead and did like, now I cut like 250 by like 12 dBs, and now I have to do the volume compensation thing, and then you're kind of stuck with this sound. And I feel like most of my playing comes through with like a healthy mid-range, and I guess that's why I've never kind of connected with it. Yeah,
it's just, for me it was I played the NGs for a while, and I'll talk about one of mine, but the slap sound out of it was just a bit too nasally for me. But that's really it. It was a little too Warwicky. But, nothing wrong with that. But you know,
we're gonna cut that out.
So this is my Z3X. Awesome. I love it to death. And
beautiful.
Yeah, man. What else you got for us?
Let's do. I only have one more dingwall. A couple of mine are currently held by some basement. On occasion, I almost found one, but then it got away. But that's a story for another time. I'll bring my ABZ 1 second.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
My strings aren't as fresh as yours, though.
Dude, I haven't changed the strings on this bass I also haven't played it in that long, but I haven't changed it in a month.
That's another weird.
The thing has a Wenge neck? What?
Yeah, it's straight up Wenge all the way through, and swamp ash body, so the body is really light. It's it's just a beautiful piece of work. Actually, I think I played it at NAMM. I did a video for Sheldon with it, and I couldn't put it down. And it was also like after my dingwalls were stolen. I think I already had the Z3, but I'm not even sure. Time kind of works funny for me. I sometimes I can't really remember when stuff happens. I know, weird. But anyway, I distinctly recall I was supposed to pick up an NG. And naturally, it was during like the biggest, I guess, push for NGs being going around. And then I played it, and I loved it so much, and I kept saying like, well, listen, like, whatever. Like, I know this is supposed to go to some store, or this was supposed to go to some retailer or something. And by the end of the show, he kind of took me aside and he said, "Look, man, I just, I want you to have this bass." And I was like, I completely dumbfounded. I was like speechless and excited. And again, this naturally became one of my favorite instruments. I guess like Yeah, it's the same with you. When you zone in on an instrument and you really know that you want that one or that specific spec, it's just such a good feeling to go back home with it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you even on the plane. I remember myself saying, "Man, it's like up there in the overhead. It's like I get to play this." Yeah. So, by the way, both my Dingwalls are passive. I haven't changed the battery in them ever since they died. Now, it's two reasons. One, I'm like super lazy. No, I'm not lazy enough. I've changed batteries my entire life, but as soon as they died, I figured out, at least for me and my taste in 2023, that when these basses are played passive, they take, like they like processing much better. So the preamp kind of adds this layer of shaping that if I want to adjust later, it kind of sometimes negates things that I like doing post-recording or with my pedals. Now, I'm able to use my pedals here to drive a lot more before getting like a sort of squished sound. And it kind of brings out the natural character of the instrument, I guess, more. Or maybe it's just something I'm telling myself. But either way, it's a beautiful...
You like it?
Yeah. I just, like, as soon as the battery died, I pulled the push-pull and I went like... It just sounds sweet. I haven't played it in a while. So yeah, the strings are a bit deader than the Z3, but yeah, that's our favorite position. So both these pickups, the first and last one, and then let's do another order altogether. The neck pickup also. Let's do something like this. Again, this really thumpy, sweet. I just love it. It's like the perfect combination between articulate and kind of fat and thumpy. Then we have the Music Man configuration. Bridge pickup. Let's do. It's out of tune. I'm sorry. So this bass, I would consider it having a much more kind of a hollow sound compared to the Z3. The Z3 has this kind of growly low mid, high mid. It's like, I imagine like the EQ is kind of, there's a dip in the middle, or what's the opposite of a dip? A hill?
A hill. I was about to say a hill. Yeah.
I don't know. There's some. I actually own a pro audio company, and I can't figure out the term for that. That's so embarrassing. But anyway, the mid range is so accentuated, and here I always have to boost mids. And as soon as I plug this one on exactly the same settings, like you can actually hear that the kind of low mid rumble that the Z3 had. But tell you what, this bass loves guitars much more than that one. So if I need to track something with like triple tracked rhythm guitars, this bass does a much better job at leaving room, because it hollows out just those areas where the guitars chug, but it does have that. So you get that clanky kind of, I'm probably clipping, but you get that clanky attack tone, and then room for guitars, beautiful kind of hollow top end. So yeah, that's one of my go-to basses when I need to track like guitar albums, which is something I do a lot. And the Swamp Ash body with, yeah, of course, the beautiful little neat battery.
The best part about the best part about those basses.
See, you know, it's funny when Sheldon showed me that, I didn't really understand what fan frets were or why.
Yeah.
But this part I understood. I was like, this guy thinks
he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he thinks differently. It's funny how these things work. Sometimes you meet somebody and you immediately figure out that like he thinks differently. And it also comes through in small things, not just like a completely different way to construct an instrument. Anyway, sure. Dingwall ABZ, Dingwall Z3, it's your turn.
Beauty. All right. Well, I'm gonna come back to my Dingwalls in a bit, but we're gonna take a left turn real quick.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
This is like one of
Show
my
me
first
something
things.
weird.
Yeah, this is gonna be weird.
Please.
Dude. All right, here we go. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this is a 1990s Fender HM5 American. So the story behind this bass was I was in, I think, high school, and one of my teachers, my orchestra teacher, was a bass player. You know, we would shoot the shit about electric bass all the time. And he told me he had this crazy bass in his mom's attic where the headstock was completely bashed in, but the body was fine. And he's like, if you can fix it, you can have it. So he brought me the body, and he brought me the neck. So what I did was when I got to college and had a little bit of money, I found this luthier. I forgot what his name was, but I sent him the neck. And I'm like, hey, can you build me this neck? The original neck had a rosewood board and a maple neck. But I asked him if he could make me a full maple neck and reverse the headstock. So it's one of the most gnarly sounding basses. The first time Aaron heard me play with, before I was in intervals, the first time he ever heard me play was with this bass. And I don't really know too much about. I don't know what the body wood is made out of, but it's... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So that, like all those little cracks I'm seeing, is that design or is it just beat up?
So it's this gold... So this is relict. Like, this is just like from going on the road and stuff. But it's got a gold crackle finish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because of the Zoom call camera.
Yeah.
I can't figure out if it's just torn to shreds or beautiful.
Well, both. All of the above.
Yeah.
But so I love this bass. It's got a pickup selector, so it doesn't have the traditional blend like a Fender.
Right, but it's
Just
also like
master
Dingwalls. You know, it has like a 3-way or a 4-way.
5.
5-way. Wow.
Yeah. So treble, master volume, 3 J-style pickups, and it sounds... Hopefully it works today, because some days it doesn't. But so this is the neck, and it's like the most gnarly neck pickup. Like... Woo! Right, it's absolutely ferocious. Right, so you got the neck, and then you get these guys, and it automatically just turns into a Spectre. Wow. Yeah. sounds incredible, and even for the slap stuff, you know. And then you get your like traditional just J bass kind of sound, which I like this one better than what I'm about to show you, which is
Isn't it just a bridge pickup?
no, I think it's this. I think
No
it's the
way.
neck and the. That's what I'm thinking, but like, because
No
this
way.
to me, the initial right, this to me like.
That's definitely
That sounds like the neck. Yeah.
no, but I think this one is the neck
think it could
and
be
the middle
middle.
one. Yeah, I think that because I've had, I don't remember which bass, but in all the 300 basses I've played with
Yeah.
Bass the World demos and stuff like that, there is a configuration where it's like the jazz bass configuration, but with the second coil of a Music Man pickup or something like that. And
okay.
that's a
Yeah, 'cause
sound
this
I
one's
distinctly
way more
remember.
bridge pickup focused.
Exactly. I think that if it was the
Yeah.
bridge and neck, you would get a more round, like jazz bassy tone. But
Yeah.
the one you said you like, it's a I don't know how
I think
to describe
that's the
it.
traditional jazz one.
Yeah.
I think so.
So you know what? Maybe it's a good call. Like, if anybody knows
Yeah.
this kind of basses,
If anybody
and-
owns a Fender HM5, late, I don't know when this bass was, but it's not built in the 90s. So
dude, somebody knows
somebody.
this bass and is
Yeah.
like screaming right now. You
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
You guys are
Okay.
idiots. How are you even remotely successful at playing
Yeah.
bass or being
Right.
bass players?
Dang, yeah. So yeah, that's the middle. This is the most interesting one though. So this is the Music Man setting, and it makes it sound like kind of like a dingwall in like a really weird way. Right? Yeah. It almost kind of sounds like MIDI.
But yeah, but it also this is the Warwick thumb sound
Yeah.
for me. Again with this.
You ever listen to like Necrophagist?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so this is like that kind of that sound. And then you just have your bridge.
The bridge is incredibly nasally.
Yeah, I know. It's
Unbelievable.
it's not the most forgiving sounding bass, but it's
Yeah.
really really cool. It's
For
definitely
me,
a super
but you
unique
know what?
bass.
You can't really beat that neck pickup with the pick tone that you just played.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's like
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So that's my Fender HM5. Yeah.
I'm just like looking
Super
back. What do I have there? Let's do.
Let's do a couple more.
Yeah. I'll go get something.
I gotta make some tough decisions. Ah, there's the one.
So maybe aside from the Dingwalls, the bass that I've used the most in my life is Mayonnaise. This one is. It's not a Patriot. Man, I suck. The Mayonnaise that got stolen from me was a Patriot, and this one is Victorious. I think I got
Okay.
it. So it has Aguilar pickups and a preamp, a 3-band. This one I do play active, just because the battery hasn't run out. No. It's just, this one, just like the passive tone, never kind of worked for me. I tried it many times, regardless. I plugged in a jack that's disconnected. It's like just a jack I have lying on the floor. We can just put like one of those slides that says, "Stay tuned. We'll be right back." With the
after these messages,
mellow jazz,
from our non-existent sponsors.
We can invent, like we need to make up sponsors.
Yeah,
like
that'd be so funny. Like the most insane, like music products.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, what would be? I gotta think of one. But go ahead.
No, I think we should stay on this for a second.
What would be a good like fake music product?
You know what I always found like funny? You know, there's like that Soundbrenner watch thing that's a metronome that taps on your hand. Just like place metronomes in more places in your body. It's like a butt plug metronome.
Like one for your like nose plugs for people who snore, but it's just a metronome. You're just sleeping and
you're just getting flicked up the nose.
Or like a string boiling kit.
Wow, that's a good one.
And it just comes with like your grandma's frying pan or your grandma's pot
and a like, bottle of water.
Yeah, like a Poland. It is like a Poland spring, and like it comes with the shitty strings too. It'll come with like
it comes with relic strings.
Pre-owned pair of flat wounds.
Amazing, man. Yeah. We should definitely come up with that and then just produce an ad for it.
We should. So if we ever do, which would be cool, get sponsors. We should have those in the podcast, but also just pepper in fake ones.
Exactly.
And like use the code. I don't know.
I should like sponsor a hair gel company and just completely rub it all over my bald head. You know, just weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
And next to like proper, because we will probably get like offers from companies to be like, hey,
that'd be cool.
Plug this thing. Yeah, that'd be nice. I'm all for it. Also, like part of the bass community thing would be just to. Yeah. I do want to at some point run a segment where we just like without sponsoring anything, just check out stuff that's new in the bass world, like new amps, new pedals, new stuff. Anyway. So back to our bass. Back to our programming. This bass is a Mayones Victorious. That the story behind this bass is that after the break-in again, I had a gig in Japan with Marty Friedman, and the Mayones guys were kind enough to have this bass waiting for me. They had like less than 2 weeks to ship it and take care of everything, and they had it waiting for me in my hotel room. So I was nervous enough as it is to like play my first gigs in Japan. It was sold out rooms, and we had like a intense rehearsal days and everything. But also like the first time I've ever played this really intense set with this bass was like on the first rehearsal day. So as soon as I got in my hotel room, I just sat down, played the set like 3 or 4 times on it, broke it in, and it's been with me ever since. I guess like maybe 2014 or something like that. And I actually wore it out to the point where they redid the entire finish on the bass. So if you can see, it has this hand-applied black, I don't know, like relic kind of finish. I always imagine a guy with a sponge kind of coming in, putting a glove and just dapping it like this to apply the finish. It always kind of makes me giggle. So it's a very... also sampled it for 2 instruments we developed for Waves. The reason I chose this bass to sample is the fact that like the magic in it is that it's one of the best recording basses I've ever had, in the sense that if I just need a no fuss production ready sound, I just plug it in and I I have some gunk in the volume pot. Sorry. Everything comes through very compressed and balanced with it. This is both pickups. This is the bridge. Some days things just don't work out, but yeah.
It sounds like you're like with the harmonics. You're like narrating your experience right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's another segment.
Just don't work out.
That's another segment. It's like existential angst with bass overtones. That's the name of the segment. I woke up asking why. Just generally, like why. Why I woke up. Why should I get out of bed? Why I chose bass chose me, man.
Why am I just the bass player?
Why am I just the bass player? Is anybody even listening to me?
So good.
How soon until I can boil my strings?
Can I use the water to drink? Wow, that's crazy. Is that both or bridge?
That's just bridge. It's a very nasally, trebly tone, but I absolutely
like it a lot.
adore it. Yeah, it lends itself well to like staccato playing, like maybe too much mids. So. It's really fun because it's an unforgiving sound. I love that, you know. It reminds me that my favorite way to practice is just straight up sound card to studio monitors, nothing in between. Again, it's like parsley. This is the point where I start reminding myself that English is my second language, but partially because again, like this is sometimes like wanting to play or to compose something is like compulsive. So you're like, I don't want to plug it. I just want to play, you know? So I have monitors and everything and I just hook it up. And if I do this plus the bridge pickup, it kind of forces me to be like on my best playing and my best behavior because it's such a delicate sound that kind of
super unforgiving.
Sends out any mistake you're doing. Like I'm doing plenty of them right now. And the last part is the neck pickup, which is also like, I guess that's why the sound of both pickups is so well balanced because the neck pickup is also pretty kind of over the top in terms of its neckiness, if I can coin that phrase.
You heard it here first. Ooh.
And again, both together. That's it. Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah. All right. So show me something, another bass.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna show you two things. I'm in my first one. All right. So this is called a Clifford Roy. He's a luthier from Long Island. I studied with this bass teacher named Mike Frost for around, I'm trying to think how long, probably like, I studied with him for like 11 years.
Wow. And
he played these basses, and you go on TalkBass and you look for I've seen these Clifford Roy basses. How can I find them? And the only way to get to them is through my teacher. It's crazy. But so this is the first one he built me. I got it like in the middle of college, I think. It's a crazy bass. It's actually a 33 scale.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's super interesting instrument. So it's got a Mowabe top, which he told me he's never going to use again because it's a super dense wood and it completely destroyed all of his saw blades, which was it's kind of cool. And then we have
kind of means he hated making this bass, probably.
Yeah. A Wenge middle of the neck, and the rest is swamp ash, wenge board. It's so this is my first 6 string, and I've done a bunch of records with it. I think most notably, like I don't know, have you heard of the band Aviations?
No.
So they're a prog band. They're a bunch of homies of mine, but they're pretty well known in like our circle. And I met them at Berkeley, and this was the bass I had at the time, and I used it on their record called The Light Years, and it's really cool because it doesn't sound like my typical Dingwall sound, but it still kind of sounds like me. I really like this bass. So
what are the pickups? They look freaky.
So these are his own custom pickups. He makes these pickups, and it's so his pickups, his own preamp that he made. He used to make the bridge too, but that was a little too much work. He's I don't know if I should go into detail about like the guy, because he's a very private person, but
yeah, just keep him as a mystery luthier dude that can only be reached through one guy in Long Island.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. He made sometimes he would make the next bass I'll show you real quickly is he made like that was the only bass he made that year,
right?
Which is nuts. But this one I initially wanted a 5-string, and I got to Berkeley and I was like, oh no, I need a 6. I want to do 6-string things.
Yeah.
And I hit up my teacher and he's like, oh, I have a 33 scale. We can switch. I'll take your 5. You can take my 6. So this bass initially wasn't for me, but it sounds ridiculous. So
let's
both pickups
to
together. Yeah. Let's get the treble on it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it's crazy how much it sounds like your Dingwall.
Yeah, it's cool. It's the reason why they're very noisy. It's a very noisy bass.
Happens.
But it doesn't handle that type of distortion as well as you'd think. And that was one of the main reasons why I gravitated more towards the Dingwalls. But
I don't remember if I said it on this bass, but it's the same thing with this one. I feel like I can never get this one to distort quite properly like I can with the Dingwalls, or even sometimes a jazz bass. Like some basses are really compressed and tame, and the distortion kind of brings out harshness instead of kind of adding to them.
Yeah, but it's super glad. So the strings are kind of dead. I haven't changed the strings in like 5 years, but
wow,
it's a very.
What strings are they?
These I think are SITs. They're great. They're really great.
Yeah. They sound. They don't sound like 5-year-old strings.
I know.
I have to say.
But it's a very glassy sounding. With both the neck and bridge, and again it does the Jocko thing really well. And the preamp is crazy on it too. Yeah, I don't even know what to play on this thing, man. It's crazy.
I actually really like it. I think
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sounding instrument.
Yeah, it does have it is noisy, but aside from the noise, never mind. You heard my I need to clean up my electronics as well. But that's what happens when you have a bunch of basses. But aside from that, like actually in the it's like timbre is brilliant. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like I would really love playing this bass. Because of how everything incredible. Just shoots out, and the sustain is a bit shorter naturally because of the 33 scale. It's just like I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Let's get the treble back on.
So,
This is the bass that I learned how to like thump on.
oh, okay. No, I was just about to ask, how'd you get, like, if getting one is difficult, how'd you get two of them?
Well, like I've been studying with the main guy, who plays them is my teacher. So once I got this one, it was kind of like this one I saved up since I was saving up since like sophomore year of high school to get it.
Awesome.
And my dad helped out as like a graduation present. And then the second one, which I'll grab, was like my graduation present from college. So this one's a little less noisy.
Are they like custom builds, or are they like?
Yeah.
Does he build them anyway?
So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll give you. Hold on.
Coffee table base.
Yes, hella coffee table vibes.
I love it though. It's like a compliment.
Yeah. So this is my single cutaway, and
beautiful.
this was the one where I got a little bit of input in it. It's crazy because my teacher said like you can tell him what strings you want, and maybe some other things, but it's very much like he does what he does.
Yeah.
And
but you can see he's a really talented individual.
Absolutely.
Like, there's no doubt.
So this one, my favorite thing that he does with his basses is he does this thing called a flat back neck, which I actually implemented. It's way less extreme on the prototype, but basically what he does is he adds a little bit more wood on the shoulders of the neck, and then the back of it is completely flat. Like I don't know if you could see that.
It's actually easy to see, even through the zoom quality.
And and the fretboard on it is completely flat. There's no fretboard radius, so it's kind of like a classical guitar.
Right.
But yeah, so we have, I think it's Babinga is the top wood, and then all Wenge neck, which got 11. Then it has two, I think, walnut stripes running down the middle.
Yeah.
And again, he builds the pickups himself, does everything. I think this is ebony, and then the back of it, which is beautiful, is ash, mahogany, and then it has like a little purple heart guy right over here.
Wow.
Yeah, and this one, so this one was...
It's really like top level craftsmanship.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's actually unbelievable. So the first one I would consider selling, but this one is never leaving.
DM Jacob if you want his bass for an outrageous price.
Yes, exactly.
You can also DM me if you want his bass.
So this one is really cool. I like, you can see this, it has these huge side dots on the on the neck, and it's great because there's you have the super dark fretboard with no dots on it, and it was super disorienting for me at first.
Yeah,
but
I dig it.
Yeah, they're incredible. And,
the only thing that makes it better, like this bass has lumen lay, which they actually glow in the dark.
Yeah,
like beautiful for dark stages. Like you play and you're like, oh my god, I'm so grateful for the guys for figuring this out.
So the only issue with this one is he actually did this to, because he was thinking of me. He's like, hey, I put the neck pickup farther back because I feel like that would lend itself better to like metal playing. And when he said that, I was a bit bummed out. I didn't, there's nothing I could do about it, but it's
not really the definition of a custom build.
No, it's not.
You can't really say anything about it. Listen,
I know,
dude,
but that's
like,
kind of the
you're gonna
beauty
pay me. You're gonna pay me like $6,000, but just don't tell me what to do. Just pay me the money. Just don't bother me. No, I'm kidding, man. Just go ahead.
No, it's kind of like that. No, he's a great guy. Right, it's such a good sounding bass, and it does
immediately sounds great.
It does the Federa thing really well. Like what is it? Like it does that super well. But the thing is, like, this is both pickups on. It's not the bridge pickup.
That's because of the neck position. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and I was kind of bummed out by that just because, you know what sound I like. In the first bass I played you, that sounds, like you said, pretty close to the Dingwall. Mm-hmm. This is very far from what I like in a metal bass tone. That being said, I toured with this. Like, you could see, there's pictures of me for the first year I was with Intervals. This was the main bass. So I was doing, and like all the slap stuff I do. So I would just kind of have to, roll off the bridge a little bit, and you get. But it's still the thing.
Right, you're kind of stuck with that sound. I completely understand what you mean. I have a bass that's also like that. That I actually had custom ordered to spec, and I messed up with the pickup positions, and I tried changing the preamp, and I tried changing the pickups to fix something that cannot be fixed, which is the actual positioning of the pickup.
Yeah.
But then again, this, it reminds me like of a very interesting point about these custom high-end basses. People look at this and they say like, wow, a chunk of wood, it probably sounds like this. They maybe imagine this creamy precision bass, woody sound, but really well-crafted instruments a lot of times sound thin, but my analysis is not because they are actually thin, but because well-crafted instruments tend to have a very full range tone, which means you also get very dominant, very prominent high end and high mids. And usually, if your bass doesn't excel at producing these ranges, you get more low end and like the less distinguishable frequencies, let's call it.
Right.
But it reminds me of like if you have a lower range brand, the area of frequencies in which they sound lower class is only this kind of high mid treble area. And instruments like Mayones, Dingwall, or these instruments that you're holding and showing right now, this is where they actually excel. They produce these frequencies in a charming way, which is what I'm getting from, like, the sound is very punctual and nasally, and you want a more balanced tone, but then again it produces this kind of sound in a very charismatic manner.
So the volume isn't super, the knob isn't super tight, so I didn't give you the proper demo. But so this is kind of, let's see if it'll get going now. Oh no.
Yeah.
Come on, don't do this to me now. I guess we're just getting the, nope. Oh well. Yeah, so I gotta get this thing fixed, but yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I think we found the name of the episode. I gotta get this thing fixed.
Yeah, I mean it's so pretty though.
Wow, man.
Like, whatever. Cool. So
it's absolutely
you guys
amazing.
Show me some now. Yeah, I love this thing, man. It's cool.
Let's do last one. All right.
What is that?
So, the special thing about this one is that it has no frets. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Enlighten me.
Well, the frets, they are absent. They are missing. This is my first and only fretless bass. It's also in Mayones. They custom built it for me. I think it's a BE Exotic. I think that's the model.
Be Exotic.
Yeah.
Not to be confused by Joe Exotic.
Yeah, I'm an exotic kind of guy, with a ghostly complexion like mine. Let's see if it works.
Ooh. This is just a broken bass episode. Ooh.
So it has an Aguilar kind of Music Man style pickup over here. It's also like a 3-band Aguilar preamp. It has a passive mode, which is usually like isn't really recommended for the Music Man pickup basses, but I really wanted to check it out, and I think it also like sounds really sweet passive. Yeah, but it's just like a wonderful sounding fretless bass.
Yeah,
like
we gotta get like we gotta get our Jamie or our Nadav.
I can get a Nadav real quick here. Man, I can get like 5 Nadavs. Like you can just shout out the window, and there's like 3 Nadavs in the building right now.
It's so funny. We can get him. He's not doing YMH anymore. We can get him.
So I don't play fretless that well, but this instrument is so easy to play. But it also has, I think there's like, well, let me see if I remember. There's a push-pull on the mid frequencies. I usually play Music Man style basses with all the preamp boosted all the way up, maybe except the treble in this one. Yeah, there's a push-pull. It's a low mid, high mid. I think it's like 400, 800 or something. This is the 400. And this is the 800.
What processing do you have going on right now?
Just a preamp.
That's crazy.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, it's everything boosted up on these kind of setups.
Wow.
Always works great. I'm really messing up. But anyway.
Yeah, it's really coming through.
The messing up?
Yeah.
Are you serious right now? I'm gonna cry. But I don't get to play fretless that much, but so it's really fun for me right now to kind of seeing you enjoying this.
Dude.
But it's just a wonderful sounding instrument. I had it.
Incredible.
They actually built it unmarked, and then I looked at it and I was like, I don't have time to learn how to play this. So I had it marked, which was a huge mistake, basically. I should have.
Just like side dots?
It was just side dots.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't even confident playing marked fretlesses. Yeah.
Oh, they put in the lines for you.
They didn't put the lines. I had them later, like another luthier. I brought it and I was like, listen, I don't have enough time. Like, I have to record this thing soon. Yeah. And I had some sessions to do with it, and I don't have enough time to actually learn how to intonate properly. So he had it marked for me, and eventually understood it was a huge mistake. Just because, first of all, the cosmetics, and then there are some places where
it's just not perfect.
Yeah, it's they didn't do I'm not going to say who, but they didn't do the best job. But anyway, this is the kind of bass where if you just want a classic fretless tone, like this does everything. You're like... Just has all those characteristics of fretless that you want. The back part of it isn't as impressive as the other basses we've shown, but there's also something nice to say about simplicity.
Yeah.
The BE models generally in Mayonnaise are like considered, I wouldn't say entry level because it's like a custom, also like a very high end instrument, but I would say like the lower end that they offer.
Sure.
I think it's an ebony board. I wish I knew like you. I knew how to what everything is made out of. Matching headstock, and then on the back side of it is like a 5-piece, I guess. One, yeah.
Is that mahogany?
I think so. As I've said, I don't keep track of these things. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Dude, don't apologize. Dude, I only know just because it's just, you know, I waited so long for this, and the guy was just telling me, oh, it's gonna have this and this and this and this.
No, on some bases,
Alright.
I'm really on top of my shit.
Yeah.
But this one specifically,
Got you.
it's been so long since I've looked at the spec. But on my the black Mayonnaise, it's swamp ash wings. The neck is maple laced with a couple of mahogany. You know, they're like here the lines are thin. I think there's like maple lines, but there's like thick. You can't really see it because of the finish, but it's too thick mahogany lines. And yeah, just on some bases I just don't care basically. I also have like a complete custom build from scratch with like walnut and, you know, just like even a funny story where I especially ordered woods and waited for like a month and a half for like a beautiful top wood, and it came with like worm holes, like huge, like worms chewed the shit out of that top, and I had to wait for another like month for another top to arrive. So yeah, this is the beautiful Mayonnaise BE fretless that I should probably play more because it just sounds like preamp straight to sound card and just sounds like this. I guess this is a trait of a lot of Mayonnaise instruments, just the fact that just like they come through really cleanly into interfaces and these kind of situations. Even when I play them directly to my Aguilar amp or any other amp, I rarely have to touch things. Usually I feel like I have to tone down the character of the amp rather than shape the bass. You know what I mean? So if it's like an SVT or an Ampeg, I already know I need to cut some low end, like all the stuff that the amp boosts, I basically have to negate in order for the bass to sound proper, which is also an interesting point. Like there are some situations where you want the character of the amp to be very present, whether it's like a huge stack, an 8x10 of a SVT, you might want to like turn on tube gain or do something like to accentuate the fact that it's like this big rock tone. And then with these kind of instruments, the fretless and the black Victorious Mayonnaise, usually I just go like, oh, this is gonna annoy me unless I make it sound like a studio monitor, you know, unless I make it sound really like flat and nice and even, because that's what the bass likes, you know. The Dingwalls are very different in a sense because it's funny, I find them really easy to plug into anything with. You know, I don't know if you feel the same. I've never found like, even if it's like a 115, like the exact opposite of what I like, I plug it in, and if there's like a tweeter and any sub, it kind of comes through.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I went to a fusion jam in Harlem like when I just got that white bass, and you know, I pulled that thing out at a fusion jam, and everyone's like, "What was that?" And I know I just got the bass, so I was a bit nervous, even though I knew it was gonna kill. I plugged it into a Mark bass, didn't do anything, and it immediately just,
just sounded. Yeah.
Yeah, it just did the thing so well.
That's what's amazing about it. Sometimes it's funny because people have such a stigma. You know, you show up, it's like you take out the Dingwall, it's like that's not a jazz bass. But then, as soon as you start playing, they're like, "Yeah, but on my first really good bass, I was really young, and I had a Ibanez, like a red GSR 200 or something, and I played that thing to bits, and I got declined the gig because my bass wasn't good enough, and it kind of broke my heart. I was like 18 or something. It was one of my first paid gigs as a bass player.
Wow!
I went to my mom and I was like, and she got me a nice bass, but that kind of stuck with me. So that was my first experience with people having like prejudice about instruments. Yeah. So you take out an instrument and immediately the guy didn't even listen to the way I played. He was like, "Oh, that's a cheap instrument. This guy, I can't hire a guy with a cheap instrument." So it's maybe kind of similar in a sense where I had occasions where I showed up to a recording with a dingwall and people went like, don't you have like a Fender Jazz or a Music Man or something like that? And I was like,
100%.
You know, it takes time to build the confidence. These days, I can show up anywhere in like a smooth jazz recording with a dingwall. People will be like, don't you have and I can be like, shut up, let me do my thing, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful place to be, especially if they thank you afterwards and they understand that, you know, these instruments are very misunderstood, as we mentioned before. I really have to wrap this up.
All right.
Our habit is to go overboard. We plan for an hour. We end up doing like way more because it's fun.
Yes.
So this is it for the second episode of Just the Bass Player.
Yes.
And
yeah, guys, just remember, you're just the bass player.
Peace out.
Take it easy, guys.